What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a Moab trip coming up at the end of the week, so that means this week I'm going to be focusing all of my energy on the 3rd Gen 4Runner. There's a handful of stuff that I've been meaning to get taken care of on that thing, and I've just been putting it off because I have so many other projects going on. Most of it's small stuff, but it's really starting to add up. Today is Monday. We leave for Moab on Friday. So I went ahead and made a little list on my whiteboard here of some things that I'm going to start on and try to get taken care of on the truck. But basically, I want to do brakes and rotors on the front end of the truck. Have some rock light wiring issues that I need to take care of. I'm going to do a full gear oil swap front and rear. I need to wrap the gull wing so it's not stainless steel anymore. My reservoir mounts on the rear shocks have started to fall off the frame, so we're going to get those taken care of. Last video, I did put a camp fridge in, and I want to find a way to strap that down so it doesn't bounce around when I'm on the trail. And then I might do some touch-up paint. Really not important, but if I run into some free time, there's just a ton of dents and scratches. Paint is definitely last on the list of priorities. The bumper could definitely use a little touch-up, as well as the skid plate. And then the bottom of the whole side of the truck is all bed liner, as well as the back. And it's just kind of been chipping away over the last year or so. So I might spend a little bit of time and just touch that stuff up as well. For those of you that are new to the channel, this is my 3rd Gen 4Runner. It's a 1998, and last year I went ahead and did a Tundra upgrade for my front brakes. If you're unfamiliar with what that means, basically what I did was replace the caliper and the rotor with a Tundra application. The caliper matches directly onto this truck specifically, so it really wasn't a ton of work. You just basically buy the Tundra brakes instead of the 4Runner brakes. And what that does is increases the rotor size, which ideally can resist more heat and last a little bit longer, prevent warping, stuff like that, and also just give you a better, grippier brake. I've had these on the truck for a little over a year, which really isn't that long, but with as much driving as this thing sees and all the highway and inclines and all that stuff, they have started to warp. I live out in Colorado, so there's a lot of mountain driving, and you can feel it when I'm coming up to a stop sign. The brakes still work really well, but you can feel them start kind of skipping, so that kind of just gives me the hint that the rotors are warping. Just went ahead and picked up some new rotors and pads, and I think this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to go ahead and take the front end apart and get these on the truck. All right, one side's all finished up. I'm gonna move over to the driver's side. But first, while I'm on this side of the truck, I think I'm gonna go ahead and replace this outer tie rod. There's just a ton of play in it. Obviously, the boot has seen better days, so I have replacements, and I think I'm just gonna go ahead, count threads, and throw her in there, and then shoot for getting an alignment before the end of the week. If I can't get an alignment before the end of the week, it is gonna get a driveway alignment. Just finished up with brakes, but before I throw the tires back on, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the skid plate off and drain whatever's left of the old diff fluid, get some fresh stuff thrown in there, and then there's a couple wiring issues that I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that stuff back together. That way I have rock lights all the way around the truck again. Swap out the gear oil, and then we'll throw the front end back together. I'm gonna call it a night. I have made a giant mess in the garage, so I need to put everything back away, clean up my mess, and tomorrow I will jump back into doing a couple more things on the truck. I still need to wrap the gull wing. I still need to figure out the straps that are gonna hold the cooler down. So we'll get away from some of the messy stuff and start working on some of the small projects that will really make a difference once we're out on a trail. So tomorrow I'm going to shoot for getting an alignment just to get that toe figured out and make sure my steering wheel's all straight before we drive 6 hours over to Moab. So that's where we're sitting. Still have some more stuff to get into tomorrow, but as you can see, it is getting very cold, dark, and stormy. So I'm going to call it a night and I'll jump back into it tomorrow. Okay, so I think I came up with a solution to mount the cooler down. I'm just going to go ahead and use these anchor points, and I'm going to put one on the back of my sliding drawer and then one on the front, and then basically run a rubber utility strap down from the handle to the platform. I'm gonna go ahead and use bolts opposed to just screwing it in, and make sure that I use some washers so it holds its weight through the wood and doesn't just rip out when I go over bumps and stuff. So we're gonna try this method first. If this doesn't work out, I might go ahead and do like a strap over top of the cooler, but this is a little less invasive as far as packing around the cooler and everything, as well as I shouldn't really need to undo these when I use the cooler. So I'm gonna start with this method first and see if it works. Strapped in the back, strapped in the front. At the moment, the cooler is strapped down to the platform. Driving home from work, I ran over some bumps and it didn't seem to move around a whole lot. So this might be temporary. It might stay just like this. I really won't know how well it works until we get out on a trail. But for now, I think it'll do the job. It's keeping the cooler in place at least. The next thing that I want to do on the truck is get the sway bar thrown back on. I did go ahead and get an alignment today. That fixed the toe issue that I was having, and it drives nice and straight, steering wheel straight. So when I'm on the highway, the truck's definitely pretty squirrely. I took the sway bar off a little over a year ago. Just kind of got ahead of myself, but since then I've sized up in tires. The front end, suspension, steering components, all that obviously has had some wear and tear over the last year and a half. So the truck's definitely a little bit squirrely on the highway. City speeds, it's not terrible, but once you get up 65, 70, it gets a little intimidating, especially driving through the mountains up against barriers and stuff like that. So just gonna go ahead and throw the sway bar back on. That way we have the option to run that while we're on the highway. As always, that took way longer than it should have. I got the sway bar thrown on the bottom of the truck and then completely forgot that I cut the mounting brackets off of my control arms when I redid the front end. Don't know why I did that, don't ask me why. Thought I would never put a sway bar back on, I guess. So took me a little bit of time. I had to fab up a couple little tabs for the link to go into. Got a couple little mounting tabs thrown on there. A couple little pieces to brace them onto the bottom. And yeah, sway bar is back on the front end of the truck. And I don't know if it's gonna be good or bad just yet. So I'm gonna go and take it for a spin. The front end of the truck looks insanely high. So I'm concerned that I got my brackets a little bit wrong, but we'll see. I'm gonna take it around the block and see where we stand. Just went for a little drive, and honestly, the truck drives insanely better with the front sway bar on. I was a little bit worried that the mounting points on the control arms were a little bit too far towards the inside of the truck, which initially when I sat it down off jack stands, the truck was sitting really tall, and the angles of the control arms looked a little bit funny. I think by overdoing the sway bar mounts towards the inside of the truck, that gave it that little bit extra lift that it needed to kind of level out my camber. But yeah, I got really lucky. Sway bars in the truck. I'm kind of jumping all over the place in this video, but today is Thursday and I had an unexpected surprise. One of my buddies was cutting up a rock crawler down about an hour away from me in Colorado Springs, and I hit him up about the bumper he was cutting off his truck, and he was nice enough to give it to me for free. So today I'm going to be getting a new rear bumper installed on the 3rd gen. It's new to me, it's old and beat up, but it is virtually the same design that I had on the truck previously, but the old one broke. So this is just gonna save me some time and some energy. And yeah, it's still plenty strong and in good condition. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this thing thrown on the truck. The one thing that I need to do before I can get the bumper on is the old swing out setup I had is basically just this tube welded onto the frame rail, which worked for the old bumper setup, but it is not going to work for this one. The swing out arm basically would come and land directly through this tube. So we're just gonna go ahead and scrap the old swing out setup. And when I get some time later on down the road, I will kind of circle back to the swing out setup. For now, just gonna go ahead and finish cleaning up this bumper and get it thrown on the truck, and then probably paint everything so it looks semi-decent. So this is kind of the random pile of tools that normally lives in the truck. When I redid the storage, all of it ended up sitting here in the back of the 1st gen. I went ahead and bought a couple new tool bags from Home Depot. They're nothing special. These were like $7 a piece. But yeah, 10-inch tool bags. I should be able to fit 3 of them in here. Normally I'll do kind of like a miscellaneous hand tools, socket, like impact set. And then I'll do one with like spare parts. So like locker stuff, little fittings, tire plugs, all that good stuff. So it's all nice and organized, and when I'm digging for stuff, I don't have to dig through one bag to find what I need. I know this video is all over the place. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I was able to get a lot of this list done throughout the week. There's a few things that I left out, but not super stressed about it. I was able to get new brakes on the front end, fix my rock lights, swap gear oil, fix the resi mounts on the rear shocks, do my cooler strap. Didn't get to paint, but I did get the rear bumper mounted up there. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the progress. I am excited to get out to Moab and do some wheeling. It's gonna be our first outing since last December or something like that. So technically, first trip of the year. Definitely super excited. We are doing a hotel trip. We're not going to be camping. So ideally, we're going to have plenty of time to be out on the trails and get some good wheeling content for you guys. I really appreciate all you guys that reach out to me. It's been super fun interacting and meeting new people. But yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate everyone that watches the channel. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and I will see you guys next weekend.